Hey guys, today this is section 4, day 3, elimination notes. This will be your last day of elimination, and we're just going to practice a few more types of elimination problems that you might face in your homework or on tests and quizzes. Okay, so let's look at this guy. Remember, our first step of solving elimination problems is always to go ahead and get them into columns. Okay, so there's your 3 columns. We're in good shape, x's, y's, and numbers on the other side of the equation. Okay, now you're looking for ones with the same coefficient but different sign. Okay, and that hasn't happened yet. Okay, but I'm going to do my x's. Okay, so I have a 2 and I have a 1 right now. Okay, so I want them both to be a 2, but I want one to be a negative 2. Okay, so looking at the top equation, what could I multiply 1 by to get negative 2? Well, if you multiply 1 by negative 2, that would equal negative 2. So I'm going to multiply this entire row by negative 2. So let's look at that. We got negative 2 times x, which is negative 2x. Negative 2 times y is negative 2y. And negative 2 times 1 would give us negative 2. Okay, so we don't use this equation when we're adding. We're going to use the 2 bottom guys. Okay, so let's add those up. So 2 plus negative 2, those cancel out. They just go away. They eliminate. Negative 3y plus negative 2y gives us a negative 5y. And 12 plus negative 2 gives us 10. Okay. Now, we can go ahead and divide by negative 5 on both sides. And that gives us y is negative 2. Okay, so there's half of our ordered pair solution. Now we can go ahead and plug that back in for your y on either this y, or the top one. Now I'm going to use the top one because it looks the most easy to plug back in. So we have x plus y equals 1. And we just simply have to plug that negative 2 in. So for y you got x and then minus 2 equals 1. And then add 2 on both sides and your x equals 3. So since we have x equals 3, we can go ahead and write our ordered pair solution. Our x was 3, and our y was negative 2. Okay, so that's what we've been talking about the last couple times, and ones that you have to multiply by some number to get the columns to cancel out. But sometimes you're going to come into one of these types. Okay, on this type, you still want to get the same coefficient and different sign, but sometimes you might have to multiply both rows to get that to happen. Okay, so let's say I want to get these guys to be opposites of each other. Okay, well, sometimes there's not a way to multiply 3 to get a negative 5. You just can't. Okay, so you're going to have to multiply both rows. Well, what's the lowest common multiple for 5 and 3? Well, you have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 5, 10, 15. Well, 15 happens to be the lowest common multiple, so I want 1 to be 15, and I want 1 to be negative 15. Okay, so the top one, I'm going to want him to be 15, so I'm going to multiply that entire row by 3. Okay, 5 times 3 is 15. And on the bottom, I'm going to multiply that entire row by negative 5. Okay, negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. Okay, so let's go ahead and do all this. Okay, so on the top, 3 times 5 would give us 15x. 3 times 2y would give us 6y. And 3 times negative 1 would give us negative 3. Okay, so there's our new equation. Okay, let's try the bottom. So we have negative 5 times 3x, which would give us negative 15x. Negative 5 times 7y would give us negative 35y. And negative 5 times 11 would give us negative 55. And so here's what we have. We have negative 15x plus 6y equals negative 3, and negative 15x minus 35y equals negative 55. Okay, so now that we have them in columns, we can go ahead and add these guys up. So we have negative, or 15x plus negative 15x, those cancel out. And if we add up 6y plus negative 35y, that gives us a negative 29y. And negative 3 plus negative 55, that would give us a negative 58. Okay, so there's our equation. Let's go ahead and finish it off. So we got negative 29. We're going to divide each side by that to cancel it out. The 29's cancel out. And then we would have y equals negative 58 divided by negative 29, and that is 2. So half of our solution is 2, and I can go ahead and plug that y back in anywhere I want. And I'm going to choose this top equation here. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite that 5x plus 2, but instead of y, I have a positive 2. Remember, I'm using this equation to plug in. It's 5x plus 2y equals negative 1. So let's go ahead and finish this off. So we have 5x plus 2 times 2, which is 4, and that all equals negative 1. Okay, so undo addition with subtraction, and 5x equals negative 5. And last but not least, divide each side by 5, and we would get x equals negative 1. Okay, so we found our x and our y. So if we put them in our ordered pair form, we have x equals negative 1 and y equals 2. All right, we got one more example to look at. And we're going to look at this guy right here. Okay, but before we look at him, I got a quick joke for you. All right, here's the joke. What do you call a fat psychic? Think about it. Think about it. A fortune teller. You like it. All right, let's actually scroll down here to the last one. Let's do it. Okay, so our step 1 in solving systems of equations by elimination is to get them in proper columns. Okay, and right now, they are not in proper columns. So we're going to have to switch things around a little bit. So instead of this guy up top, we need to put our y's with our y's and our x's with our x's. Okay, so essentially, okay, all we did was flip around that 4x and 3y to get them to line up. Okay, no big deal. Okay, now I want to get my y's, one to be a 3 and one to be a negative 3. So what am I going to multiply? Well, of course, I can multiply by negative 1 on that whole row and get them to cancel out. So what is negative 3 or negative 1 times 3y? You got negative 3y. And negative 1 times 4x would give us negative 4x. And negative 1 times 10, of course, would give us negative 10. Okay, so you no longer need this guy. Okay, so let's go ahead and add them up. So we have 3y plus negative 3y. Those cancel out. And then negative 12x plus negative 4x gives us negative 16x. And lastly, negative 6 plus negative 10 gives us negative 16. Okay, divide those out. You have negative 16 divided by negative 16 on both sides. Those 16s cancel out, and we would have x equals 1. Okay, so we found our first x here, or our x here. We know that it is 1. And we can go back and now plug in for our y. So let's use this equation right here. Okay, we have 3y minus 12x, and that all equals negative 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and divide that out, or solve that out. You would want to go ahead and plug in. Remember, our x is 1, so I'm going to rewrite it. 3y minus 12 times 1, and that all equals negative 6. Okay, so let's solve it. We have 3y minus 12, and that equals negative 6. If we add 12 to both sides, that cancels that out. And then you would have 3y, the 12's go away, and negative 6 plus 12, of course, gives you 6. Okay, and then, of course, we can divide by 3 on both sides. Okay, so our final solution is y equals 2. All right, so your final solution is x is 1, y is 2. See ya.